Hey guys, we're in Tahiti, and it's been a couple months since we left Panama before crossing the Pacific on our epic 4,200 mile, 29-day journey. And so we wanted to share our experience with the photos and videos we captured during that trip. But just as a quick recap, the whole trip kind of started over a year ago. We met Alec and Laura when Camille and I were sailing Arcturus down through the Caribbean, and we buddy boated with them, did some hikes, shared some adventures and things like that. And they were looking for crew to join them on their Pacific run, and we decided to kind of rearrange our plans to join them. And so when we got to Grenada in May, we hauled Arcturus out, kind of stored her there long term, and flew back to North Carolina to begin making money and preparing for this trip. And so January 5th, we flew down to Panama and joined them on board Serenity first. So on March 5th, my birthday actually, we left Panama and began the journey to head to the Marquesas. So that route involved going down from Panama, underneath the Galapagos, and then across to the Marquesas. It took about 29 days and 4,200 miles, and we'll show some clips and things from all that. Almost right after we left Panama, the COVID crisis worldwide just escalated, and all the borders began shutting down and things like that. We actually had boats behind us in Panama that weren't granted permission to leave initially. The whole time we were sailing, the trip was kind of overshadowed with what's going to happen with this COVID virus, and are we even going to be allowed into French Polynesia? And so we carried on the trip because the Galapagos closed their borders, all the other surrounding areas began closing their borders, but French Polynesia was still open. And so we just carried on the trip as planned, but we continued getting email updates from our satellite internet and things like that. And we kind of saw how the story and situation was unfolding. When we arrived in Nuku'hiva in the Marquesas, we were kept under the same confinement rules that all the locals were. And so we were asked to kind of stay on our boat and only come ashore one person once a week to run errands and go to the grocery store and things like that. And they were a little looser with the rules for us because we had to do quite a few errands to catch up from an entire month at sea. And when we arrived, they gave us 4 days to be in Nuku'hiva before asking us to sail to Tahiti. And so Tahiti is on the opposite side of the French Polynesia from the Marquesas. And so it was a 6-day sail to go from there. And we intended to spend a month in the Marquesas, a month in the Tuamotus, and a month in the Society Islands. And we went through all that in 6 days, and that was a real bummer. And when we arrived to Tahiti, basically all the boats in French Polynesia are kind of being asked to consolidate here in Tahiti and wait. And there's no other countries or islands worldwide that have their borders open. And so everybody sailing in the South Pacific right now, and probably the world, are completely locked down. And so pretty much the trip ends here for us. And so a lot of the boats are working to try to get to Australia or New Zealand in order to be out of the cyclone zone when the season starts again. And so it's definitely a really difficult situation, but for us, the trip ends here in Tahiti. And so we've come here to an Airbnb, and we're just kind of waiting under the same confinement rules that everybody else has in Tahiti, and just hanging out and waiting to try to find a flight back to the U.S. We're working with the U.S. consulate to try to organize a flight back home, and it's a little complicated because there are not many flights going on right now, and some of the charter options are crazy expensive. And so we're hopeful we'll be able to find some answers soon, but for right now, we're just kind of waiting. And so in the meantime, we thought we might just reflect on the trip a little bit and share the experience with you guys. One of my favorite things whenever I return home is to be able to sit down and share photos and videos with friends and kind of relate those stories in person. So because of the COVID virus, we're not going to be able to visit everybody when we get back home. So we thought we'd do just a little bit of a casual format of sharing some of our favorite moments from the trip, some of our favorite clips and photos, and kind of reflect on this trip because I think in a lot of ways it was a Pacific crossing like many other sailors have experienced, and this kind of epic passage. and in other ways it's very unique because all the borders have been closed, and we complete this epic journey and then be asked to kind of just stay in one place and not get to see the places we've been hoping to travel through. So it's kind of definitely been a bit of an emotional ride, but we're here now, we're safe, and we're looking forward to sharing some of these cool clips. So let's check them out.
In the upcoming episodes of our Pacific Crossing series.
Hey everybody, we made it out of the marina. Just like seasickness. What was it to seasickness? Not today.
This is where we made landfall after our Pacific crossing, but unfortunately we've been pretty much confined to the boat for a week.